In this video, I will explain where our inherent idea of God comes from and why we evolved to have this idea. The archetype of the wise old man is where our core idea of God comes from, and is why it is probable that animals also have an inherent idea of God. First, we need to understand the idea of a superconscious archetype. A superconscious archetype is an extreme of certain sets of characteristics not seen in nature, but used by our brain in order to classify things and ideas along a scale with which the archetype being the maximum end of the scale. This brings us to the wise old man archetype. This archetype comes from the positive side of masculinity. That is, a man who is infinitely old, knows infinitely many things, is heroic, knows how everything works, and is willing to sacrifice to protect others. It's basically a perfect male in a stable environment. So, what does this have to do with the idea of God? Well, the wise old man archetype is our brain's way of judging the capacity for others and how they should be approached and treated. So that for everyone we meet, we place them on a scale of these Jungian archetypes and treat them in ways defined by evolutionary preference. That is, ways that most benefit our evolutionary options. The wise old man is simply an extreme of positive masculine values. This is where our idea of God comes from. A wise, old, loving father figure who that knows everything and is infinitely old. The same thing about femininity could be said about the great mother archetype, a caring motherly figure which is commonly described as Mother Earth. Why do archetypes continue along these seemingly impossible magnitudes and values of intellect, heroism, and other traits that are associated with them? For whatever reason, we evolved to have these extreme archetypes as a way of understanding the universe and guides of how we should behave in certain situations. Some people may try to follow the wise old man archetype in a way of understanding the universe more. This is what a genius is, someone who sacrifices all other aspects of their life to follow the wise old man archetype that values abstract intellect above all else. One important thing to note is that the wise old man archetype is a masculine. That means the idea of God is masculine. Why? What could be the reason for this? Well, the reason is quite simple. Males interact with the environment while females tend to interact with other living things. This means that males are the ones that gain the understanding of the environment through selective pressure. So a perfect male would be one able to perfectly predict the environment and to be able to perfectly manipulate it, granting him the power of God. This is the great mother archetype, the feminine equivalent, is about interactions between living things and how people take care of children. This is what makes God masculine. The archetype being of wise old man is the difference between gender interactions and the environment of females essentially being protected from the outside environment by males. This means males would have to be abstractly intelligent in order to survive and thrive, while the perfect male would have the perfect abstract intelligence, granting him the power of God, as he could understand and predict everything. In my next video, I'll look into this archetype of Satan and how religion skewed a lot of the people's interpretations of Jungian evolutionary archetypes, which are important for understanding the universe. In conclusion, a superconscious archetype is an extreme of certain characteristics and traits in a perfect world being would have. The wise or man archetype is a trait of a perfect male in a stable environment, which we interpret as God, as this being is infinitely old, has perfect abstract intelligence, is heroic, and is willing to sacrifice for others, and is very admirable.